Hello and welcome everyone to yet another episode of the Great Cyber Podcast. My name is Aniket Amdekar and along with me I have Dr. Bird and we are the hosts for the show. Dr. Bird, welcome to the show.
Hey, Aniket, thank you. It's always a pleasure to beat up, man, and talk about some of the exciting things that are happening in the cyber landscape, the AI landscape, and the technology landscape. Welcome, everyone.
We have a lot of ground to cover between those three: technology, cybersecurity, and AI. And it's all becoming a mesh these days. And today, we need to talk about the wild west of the corporate risk. We all know the traditional software, the way it is written, the code, and how predictable it is. If something goes wrong, you can trace it back over there. But AI does not behave like that. AI is not a deterministic one, it's more of a probabilistic one. And that's truly where, while it learns, it adapts, and occasionally it hallucinates as well. It can make mistakes. And if something goes wrong with your AI output or with your AI implementation, let's say because of your AI implementation, your customer loses 2 hours of productivity. In that case, would you need some kind of coverage here? That is truly where the tech errors and omissions kind of an insurance or AI insurance comes into picture. That is our topic for today. Dr. Bird.
Yeah, what we are seeing is really this transformation, right? Remember, if we think about the types of personal insurance that we have in our life, whether it's car insurance, rental insurance, personal insurance, it's about paying for vehicle damage or bodily harm in the event of an incident.
Yeah.
Now, in the tech space, we've seen the evolution of cyber insurance and AI insurance, and it protects us from financial loss, right? Whether that be ransomware attacks, data breaches, or other cyber incidents. Now,
Right.
in preparation for our discussion today, I was doing a bit of research, and of course, we aren't endorsing any products or companies out there, but there are two big players in the insurance industry globally. That's Lloyd's of London, and that's Aon, right? And both of these global companies provide this level of technology insurance, cyber insurance, AI insurance, and they discuss some of the economic drivers, technological drivers, and also the strategic threats. They highlight things that are important to all of us through the tech landscape, such as big data,
Yep.
social media, cloud computing, the Internet of Things, and they highlight the importance of addressing risk disruption, analyzing the risk, and ultimately mitigating and transferring the risk. And these are business drivers.
So true. When we teach risk management in our classes in the cybersecurity course, we talk about the four methods of risk treatment. It's accept, transfer, mitigate, and avoid. Now, you can't really avoid AI in today's age. And every time it's not possible to mitigate those risks as well because people have very specific change windows. So risk transference is a very logical choice. And businesses can go bankrupt if the lawsuits start piling up. And at that time, all those businesses just wish that they had taken up the AI insurance so that they could have coverage for that eventuality.
That's true. And what we, like to share with our students and our audience is that regardless of where you sit in the cyber ecosystem, this is an organizational kind of conversation that you're involved in. You are working with your CIO, the CTO, you're working with legal, you're working with the business team to identify, the technology in your ecosystem and
Yeah.
evaluating providers and the services that they provide. And when you're talking about companies like Aon or Lloyd's or any of the providers out there, they get back to the basic cybersecurity baselines that your organizations have implemented to determine if you are a good fit and what the cost and things like that are associated with the coverage. Some of those
Right.
things that we talk about are, your access control, your data security, right?
Yeah.
Penetration testing, your incident response planning, and even your
Yeah.
security awareness, right? Are you teaching your users what good looks like from a cyber hygiene standpoint? What are you doing to reduce the attack surface? Much like in our auto insurance, The
Hmm.
providers want to know, are we a good driver? How many tickets have we previously had? How many incidents have we had? That's
Yeah.
all on their risk profile to determine if we are a good fit for them. And it goes both
Yeah.
ways.
Yeah, yeah, true, true. And we have seen this in cyber insurance that there are typically three main drivers, and the same drivers are true for AI insurance as well. And one of
Exactly.
those drivers is about customers. You are trying to work with a really big company, let's say somebody like Walmart, and Walmart has a as a policy that unless you have the AI insurance, they won't work with you. Unless you have cyber insurance, they won't work with you. Now, in order to really scale your business to be able to get such a big customer, you have to have AI insurance.
Exactly. Another driver may be industry requirements, what's happening in your sector, right?
Yeah.
They may have requirements that you have insurance. So those are some things that you can expect to see as a driver currently and in the future, right? So it really makes sense when you're talking about strategic risk management, having some level of insurance.
And I really like the analogy that you gave earlier, where just like you buy insurance, even your personal health insurance, they send you for an entire health checkup to ensure
Exactly.
that your body is good before they insure you. and
That's it.
and same way in the technology, they're going to evaluate you on your corporate and financial basics, like what kind of revenue are you getting, are your books of accounts good, and what kind of technical and AI governance that you have. We spoke
Exactly.
about AI governance in the previous episode at length. If you have not watched that episode yet, please use the link below, and we will have a link somewhere over here, and you can use that. Go and watch that episode about AI governance. But please remember that AI governance is your underwriting audit for AI insurance as well.
We also talked about, the importance of understanding what your policy covers, right? Errors and
Yes.
omission, and even, liability. Some things
Right.
that have been burgeoning in the news is the, transitory threat landscape, right?
Hmm.
Such as
Hmm.
nation state actions, such
Yeah.
as insider threats and negligent hiring process. You gave a
Hmm.
great analogy a few moments ago, Aniket, as we were doing our prep work for the discussion
Yeah.
around HR, impersonation. You want to share that with the audience?
Yeah, yeah, sure, sure. One of the very first episodes that we had shot for this podcast was about the fake IT workers from North Korea. Now, just imagine you are a big company and you have been infiltrated by somebody from North Korea. Now, this nation state actor is working through your company, and because of that nefarious work, your AI starts to misbehave, and that leads to a lawsuit. In the investigation, it will be found that the result of this was a nation state sponsored actor. So, this actually is going two ways for you, and both of them are bad. One is your network was compromised, which led to the incident, and you had a nation state sponsored actor, which is not covered in the policy. So, the lesson here is your cyber hygiene, extremely important. And number two, you need to really understand the coverage of your AI policy. Have that reviewed with your legal team. Maybe have it reviewed from a third party and independent consultant as well.
Exactly. That's a great point. You just want to understand what it is that you're paying for. The objective of the insurance is to mitigate risk, right? Whether that's
Hmm.
transference or not engaging in an activity at all. So you
Yeah.
want to understand what it is that the coverage provides. And if there are gaps and opportunities for you to make improvements, now is the time to do so. We also talk about the importance of defense in depth. That way
Hmm.
you could strengthen some of the hiring practices, make sure you're taking the appropriate due diligence,
Yeah.
ensuring that you have your phishing and social engineering awareness program is robust to mitigate
Right.
some of those risks. And that should provide you with a baseline of showing and assuring
Hmm.
that you have the level of competency and assurance that's appropriate.
Now, suppose I'm an independent consultant. I give a lot of AI related services to my clients. How many dollars are we talking about, Dr. Bird? Do I have to pay thousands, millions, or what are we talking about?
I think it probably depends. It depends on your annual revenue. It depends on maybe some of the premium costs. So I suggest that you probably do a bit of due diligence and discuss with some of the
Hmm.
providers which level of coverage works best. Whether you're
Yeah,
a solo kind of AI consultant, whether you're a startup, or whether you're a large software as a service kind of company with millions of dollars in revenue. So you want to make sure that you're aligning the coverage with what your growth expectations are, what your current realities are, and
yeah.
the appropriate coverage to provide yourself with a level of insurance as well as your clients and customers.
So true, so true. I just thought of another situation here. As a founder or as a CISO or a chief AI officer, it's
Mhm.
very important how you use this coverage. For example, let's say you have invested maybe $50,000 and you got the AI insurance. Now you are in discussion for a multi-million dollar project, and now you're saying that, hey, by the way, we have AI insurance. In case our AI goes wrong, we are covered from an insurance perspective. So that pitch has to sound positive, not like you have a backup plan and your AI might go wrong. In that case, you are putting questions in the customer's mind.
Exactly. I think that shows a level of sophistication and due
Yeah,
diligence, right? When you're dealing with business relationships, specifically from the strategic standpoint, you have
yeah,
NDAs, non disclosure agreements, you have controls in place to protect your intellectual property. And then
yes,
insurance is another layer, if you will, of protection for yourself and your customers, right? So it shows a level of sophistication and awareness of what's happening in the landscape, in the environment. So this definitely
yeah,
makes sense.
so true. Now, let's think about it from somebody who is new in the AI domain, or they have been working on the AI implementation. Why should somebody like that be knowing about AI insurance? What could be some of the situations where this knowledge that they are going to gain from this podcast could be worthy for them, could be useful for them?
Well, I think it helps shape conversations, right? Whether you're in fintech or healthcare space or as a tech developer, understanding, hey, you want to make sure that you are mitigating the controls or the
Yeah,
risk in the space, right? We often
right.
hear about hallucination and drift guardrails and biases and discrimination and those type of things that are happening.
Yeah.
Once you have put the appropriate controls in place, done your due diligence in the development of the AI,
Hmm.
you advised of some of the risks, the human in the loop, best
Yeah.
practices. Again, insurance is a way of providing strategic risk mitigation. So I think
Hmm.
as a entrepreneur, as a
True.
CIO, as a seasoned business professional, you can look
Yeah.
at it from those viewpoints and vantages.
Now, I can give a perspective of a consultant because many organizations reach out to me to help them secure their AI implementation and, in fact, implement AI governance for them as well. In that case, during my initial evaluation, AI insurance is going to be a part of my checklist. That
Yes.
way, most of the times, that answer is going to be no. And that no will actually become a conversation starter, as you mentioned earlier. So it's a very strategic move to have this.
Exactly, exactly. Again, it's all about leaving positive impressions, making sure
Yeah.
that you are compliant with whatever industry best practices, regulatory requirements that may be in place, and it just makes good business sense, right? Regardless of which sector that you're
Yeah.
in. Much like having cyber insurance, AI insurance is a part of this strategic organizational risk mitigation plan.
Yep. Now, if you are watching this podcast and you have been with us in this entire 16 minutes of time, in that case, and if you are hearing about AI insurance for the first time, please put a first time in the comment box. We would like to know how many of our learners are learning about AI insurance for the first time, because I think this is a new learning curve, and you are going to see this more and more in the industry, more people talking about it. Whichever AI conference you go to, this is going to be one of those topics. And especially if you are involved in the boardroom discussions, wherever risk management and AI becomes together, you're going to hear AI governance and AI insurance also in the same discussion. Closing thoughts from you, Dr. Bird, before we end this podcast and prepare for the next one.
Aniket, it's always a pleasure, man, getting together and talking about some of the emerging topics and trends in the technology, the cyber and AI space. And, as we've been at this for a long time, one of the things that really stands out in our conversation around insurance is around cybersecurity threats. And as
Right.
those threats continue to evolve and mature, organizations are seeking to remediate and protect against financial risks. And I
Right.
remember when ransomware was really, on the scene as far as a differentiator in organization threat landscape, as well as data breaches, you know, conversation around cyber insurance was burgeoning. So this is a natural kind of transition from the cyber to technology to AI, and it's a fascinating time to be in this space. And as always, thank you for joining us, everyone.
Yep. Now, in the closing, what I would like to share is, as Dr. Bird mentioned, that this is something that we all need to keep an eye on. So if you are an early adopter, try and have this covered for your company's coverage. If you are somebody who is an AI enthusiast, then might as well go ahead and create a Google search agent or a Google search a scheduled search, something like that. There's a feature from Google, and so that every time there is a development on AI insurance, you will have an email in your mailbox. If you have been using a lot of these AI tools to get you scheduled newsletters in your mailbox, put this as one of those topics and keep an eye on that. I think this could certainly be an actionable takeaway from this podcast. Once again, this is Aniket Ambrekar and I have Dr. Bird with me. Both of us thank you for your presence and being with us in this podcast. So we'll see you in the next episode of the Great Cyber Podcast. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Bird.
Hey, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Aniket. We'll see you next time.
See you next time. Bye.